My dad and I do not talk very often. No. My dad and I aren't like close. But I mean, he's still my dad and I love him. Like, I've realized like how much of like a role my mom has in my life. I mean, she's two people in one. She can be the dad and she can be the mom, and she's perfect at it. And then David's also.
Hey besties, welcome back to my channel. This week on Sister Wives, Meri and her friend chat about getting back into dating. Meri insists Kody lied to her and her whole life felt like a lie. Janelle and her friends were still down in New Orleans doing their thing and discussing life. After Kody and the idea of dating again, Kody and Robyn had a special dinner where they talked about special topics like apologizing to the exes, and Christine and David went out bowling. That was the episode, you guys. That was literally the episode. Now, we all know that what plays out on the show is totally fake. At least when it comes to Kody and Robyn. I genuinely believe that when Meri shares her side of events, she's being real. I believe when Christine tells her part of the story, she's being honest too. I also believe that Janelle is being truthful to what she's feeling in that moment and at that time. And I don't think they are being cruel or malicious or wrong for speaking about what they endured, because they just left massive long-term relationships that were chaotic. And one thing I'm seeing between all the women is the common theme that being married to Kody is chaos. Absolute chaos and a constant sense of instability and unpredictability that kept all of them off balance. And every single one of them is searching for calm after all that chaos. So now that Kody is no longer in their lives, of course he wants to bring that chaos right back into their worlds with an apology. Alright. So Christine is married now, so Kody can't really disrupt her life too much. Kody's first stop is obviously going to be to talk to Janelle. But before he can get to speaking with Janelle, he apparently needs to get the approval of his wife, Robyn. And in order to kick off this apology tour, they obviously had to film a special scene where Kody looked terrified to bring the topic up to his wife. Probably because it meant Kody would have to leave his home for several days and be away from Robyn, and the Klingons don't enjoy that. Kody, remember, the Klingons can't be without Kody for more than 2 days. So Kody and Robyn head out to dinner, right? And Kody insists that after Coyote Pass shut down or closed, he felt very manipulated by the wives and that they were unsafe throughout that entire process. Everything that happened while trying to sell Coyote Pass. Yes. I was like having these traumatic reactions to what felt like still being connected to these exes who made me feel manipulated and unsafe. Yeah. Right. I'm just trying to make people happy. Yes, you heard that correctly. Kody was manipulated and unsafe around the women he manipulated and made feel unsafe through their entire marriages. Yeah, he excels at deflecting. But I think he also uses that language because he and Robyn love to say they are unsafe. And I think part of it is because they don't believe like the others, you know, and I also think it's because it others the women. You get what I mean? When you label people unsafe, it separates them so they are not like you, and it dehumanizes them in a way. Anyway, he continues telling Robyn how the entire experience was just so traumatic and that he realized during the selling of the property and letting everything go that he wasn't the nicest to the ladies. Right? And that he was gross and mean and angry and hostile when they tried to leave him, and that he wants to apologize for some of the things he said and the way he behaved and the hurt he caused, but he doesn't want to apologize for things he doesn't think he should be responsible for. So it's just another tactic for Kody to control the amount of accountability he'll accept, right? He gets to apologize for what he thinks he did wrong. He won't apologize for what he thinks they claim he did wrong, which isn't actually how apologies work. He sets up the whole talk and this Kody still clings to his delusions of grandeur, which he has admitted he's dealt with for years, where he literally believes he's God. Okay? And so he presents this as some benevolent, godly act he's performing for their sake, even though he's truly doing it for himself. And he thinks that by doing this, they'll stop speaking negatively about him. Kody apparently didn't discuss this with Robyn ahead of time or something, because after he tells her he wants to do it, she seems a little thrown off by it. And she tells him, well, you don't really need to apologize for things, you know, you did when you were hurt. which I think is total BS. And then Kody starts stumbling and has to insist. No, really, I'm going to do this. This isn't just some idea. I need you to understand this is what I'm going to do. Like, this is an apology to all three of you. I don't want to do it at the same time or anything like that. I don't want you getting some odd idea that I'm going to meet with all three of them. I just want, yeah, because I think that would set me up for complete failure. There's a lot. Are you hearing what I'm saying though? That this whole apology thing, and sorry to interrupt your thought, but I'm not sure I made myself clear. I rarely do. I know you've got other thoughts, but the first thing I want to ask is, do you think it's dumb? I mean not dumb, I mean like foolish. Robyn wanted to say something there, and he had to cut her off because he needed to make it clear he was doing this. But what I found really interesting was that he had to put this caveat in there that he wasn't going to do this with all three of them in the same room at the same time. And he said he didn't want her getting the strange idea that he'd meet with them all together. And I thought maybe Robyn is scared that if Kody were to talk to them and actually listen to them with an open mind, without thinking, well, I need to defend Robyn, right, and he heard their truth, which is that Kody abandoned the family when he met Robyn. That's what happened. I mean, that's literally what happened. And Robyn doesn't like hearing the truth. She hates hearing the truth. She doesn't like hearing that when she entered the family, he abandoned his wives. She hates being labeled the homewrecker. It's something she has despised since day one. And she even talked about it in the first book, Becoming Sister Wives, where she was persuading producers to present her in a more flattering light because the audience viewed her as a homewrecker. And she hated that because she claimed she wasn't doing that. She was joining the family, according to Robyn. But if Kody actually heard it from them, she'd probably feel like, oh, well then Kody will learn things about me from their point of view, not mine. And narcissists love keeping people away from the truth. So I don't ever see Kody acknowledging Robyn did anything wrong because Kody has decided Robyn is who he wants to be with, as evidenced by the fact that all these years later, he is still with Robyn. I don't know why the two of them keep running from this fact, right? Other than pride. I don't know. So once Kody says that, Robyn admits she can manipulate him. It's wild. Sometimes I feel like if I weigh in too quickly on some of his creative ideas, I can influence it in a negative or positive way. This specifically would be something Kody would need to own 100,000,000%. I don't think anytime someone wants to say I'm sorry for X, Y, and Z to someone else if they feel like they've hurt them is wrong. I don't want to apologize for what I've been accused of. I want to apologize for what I know I've done. This was so clearly a manipulation tactic by her, but it also makes me realize the two of them are coordinating how they'll frame this to the public because she tells him, I do. Someone wants to apologize if they think they've hurt someone for X, Y, and Z. Right? And then Kody says, I'm not going to apologize for things I've been accused of, only what I know I've done. Right? So it's both of them arriving at the same conclusion. It's fine to apologize for what you think you've done, not what they say you've done. It's both of them grabbing the same escape hatch to avoid real accountability. And if you're going to apologize like that, that's not an apology for the person, it's an apology for yourself. What I'm seeing about Kody is that to protect his ego, at least in my opinion, he's refusing to accept any responsibility for what happened before the splits. He won't acknowledge his part in abandoning the family for Robyn and putting her on a pedestal while neglecting everyone else, ignoring the kids, not being there for them, not being there for the wives, and then making the women work and stay in miserable marriages. And he's off with Robyn living his best life, right? And then he pops up for filming and that's it. He doesn't want to be accused of that. He's instead going to own how he acted once they left. That's where he sees his wrongdoing. His reaction, yes, was awful, but they aren't mad at him for leaving, right? Sure, what he has said since then is horrible, but they didn't leave him because of what he was doing during the breakup. Does that make sense? So he's going to apologize for how he behaved after they left, not for what made them leave. He doesn't want to take responsibility for anything. Robyn. Robyn doesn't want to take responsibility for anything. And then the one thing Kody wants to apologize for is connected to him saying he never loved the women, right? Which again is something he said after they left. It wasn't something he said while they were still together. It was something he said after they had already gone. He believes that saying he didn't love them is what caused the pain in the family. He thinks that saying he didn't love the wives is the reason everything collapsed. And it's not. And he thinks that by apologizing for that one statement everyone will just move on. He just doesn't grasp that while they were still together he was doing things that were causing deep hurt. He will never be able to take real accountability because he simply can't. I genuinely think he's incapable, and I think Robyn is incapable. One thing that I was extremely serious about when I said it, but then felt it was really crappy to say a year or two later, was that I never loved them. When you said that, it rocked me hard. Did you feel betrayed by it or something? It took me a minute. I was like, do I not know who he is? Was I deceived? What he basically said was, I was serious when I said it, meaning he truly didn't love them. He says he meant it in the moment. But then 1 or 2 years later he realized it was crappy of him to say it. So even if it was true, it was still crappy to verbalize it. He was absolutely serious when he said it, though. And now suddenly he wants to apologize. But that's after years of Robyn poking him and prodding him and saying, you've been rewriting the past a lot. And remember last season when she kept asking him, you keep saying you didn't love them. And she repeated over and over, you told me that you loved them when I first came in. Right? And so does this mean you didn't love them? Trying to paint herself as the victim of Kody misleading her into believing he loved those women and that she was entering real polygamy, and then she felt deceived. So my thought is that this whole apology tour is serving 2 purposes. 1, because Kody wants them to stop talking about him. And 2, because he wants to fix things for his wife. So he's apologizing for saying he didn't love them not because it hurt them, but because it hurt Robyn. And because if he didn't love them, then that meant he misled Robyn. Even though he probably did mislead Robyn. He absolutely misled Robyn. I mean, because Kody is Kody, whoever he's with. He lies. He lies to every partner he has. He doesn't magically become honest because he's with Robyn. And Robyn lies too, regardless of who she's with. But apparently this particular point was deeply offensive to Robyn because of the whole Grandma Ranch thing, you know, and how she talked about seeing women in the church being neglected emotionally and physically by men, but forced to stay because of their faith. Which I find ironic because it's exactly what she did to Meri, and the entire process of sharing all resources and sharing his love and attention, but also being completely overlooked and unloved and not cared for. And that's wrong. When you said I never loved them, that wasn't, in fact it makes me sad to think that I said it. It was one of the things that made me fall in love with you. So when you said it, I was like, what the hell? And there's the proof that Robyn acknowledges that Meri, Janelle, and Christine were not being loved or cared for and that they were dealing with heartbreak and devastation and that it was wrong. Yet at the same time she links that story to saying, so when you said that, it broke my heart because then I thought, did I not know this man? Who is he really? And yet the entire time they were together, that's exactly how it was. That's what he was doing with those women. She helped him do that to Meri for years. And when she starts crying, it becomes completely obvious that this apology isn't for the women. It's not for them at all. It's for her. It's entirely for Robyn. Because he thinks, in my opinion, that if he doesn't make this apology and straighten things out, then somehow Robyn will leave him because he will have disappointed her. And Robyn is his trophy, and he doesn't want to lose that trophy, because if he loses Robyn, then everything he did was for nothing. You know what I mean? Like, I honestly feel Kody's ego is so deeply tied to Robyn as this symbol he needs to protect, that he'll do anything to keep her from walking away. And she's always on the brink of leaving him because he's manipulating her in his own ways too. These two are absolutely toxic together, And once I realized what this apology tour was actually about, I just felt disgusted for the women. Because this is not what they want. This is not the apology they deserved. The real apology would be, "I'm sorry I left you for another woman and didn't tell you. I'm sorry I didn't tell you sooner that I didn't want to be married anymore, and instead I strung you along, mistreated you, and neglected the kids. I was so hurt, so angry, that I took a knife and swung it so hard I cut myself. I just want to be more benevolent. And I'm not. I'm kind of I don't want to say it, but I'm like, I have potential. You can be rough for sure. I'm going to be a bulldozer. Not unkind, but I'm not going to get thrown off my path no matter what the pushback is." And there could be some serious pushback. Elle received and that he might get pushback. So to get through these apologies, he's decided he's going to bulldoze his way through them. Even if they push back, he's going to apologize and force himself through the conversation anyway. The problem is he's framing the entire issue through Robyn's lens, through himself, through their worldview. You can absolutely apologize for something if you genuinely feel bad about it, 100%. But if that's not the thing the other person is upset about, it doesn't matter. You're really just apologizing for saying it, not because they were hurt by it, and even if they were hurt by it, that's not why they left. Yes, maybe he didn't love them anymore by the time Robyn came in. Yes, he neglected them. But him saying "I didn't love them, I never loved them, I never knew love until Robyn" is not why they walked away. The problems existed long before Robyn. Robyn simply magnified the existing issues and then Kody abandoned the family to be with her. So apologizing for "I didn't love you" does nothing for them. Maybe they'll say, "Thanks, I appreciate the apology, but I have a strong feeling that opening that door will lead them to respond with something like, okay." But that's not really why everything fell apart. And maybe part of it is a trigger point. I know it's something that has hurt Meri, Janelle, and Christine, but they left before he said it publicly. His actions had already shown he didn't love them. His behavior proved he abandoned them. But that's not why they left. And he's only doing this whole thing for Robyn and for his own ego and to make them stop talking about him. And this is why when you see Meri's explosive reaction, you understand it. She's asking him, "Are you going to apologize for being toxic and for the toxicity you brought into my life?" But he doesn't have the emotional capacity. He can't, in my opinion, see beyond himself, so after the conversation with Robyn, he gets in the car and actually heads to North Carolina. While driving, he admits he's been acting like a 12-year-old, and now he's on this God-journey pilgrimage of redemption where he's decided he's going to apologize to Janelle first. And he can apologize to Janelle because he likes her more than the other two. He doesn't want to see Meri and Christine yet. So because apologizing to Janelle is easier. That's where he starts. We'll dive into, in other videos, the stuff Meri said in this episode and what Janelle shared in this episode, but this is what Kody had to say, and honestly, it's a mess. Tell me your thoughts below in the comments. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Let's hit 10,000 likes today. Click the thumbs up and be sure to hit the bell so you never miss a video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye, besties. Sparkling heart.